Hello all.
Today's class is on time and energy management. This is a part of resource management. So let's see how we can effectively manage our time and energy. Everyone has 24 hours in a day, and time is one resource which is equally distributed to every individual, both rich and poor. They all share the time alike. So effective time management needs the realization of the fact that time has a lot of value. Time is a quantitative resource which can be measured, but it is intangible because we can't actually touch it. So its classification also varies with different authors. Gross, Crandall, and Noll classified it as a human resource, something which is innate in ourselves. And others have actually classified it as a non-human resource. So it is depending on our perspectives, how we view time. Because time for some people might be something which they have control over, and some people find it as a something which you can't control at all. So time is a focal point around which other resources are allocated and used. So as a resource, time can be used in several ways. It is combined with other resources to achieve a desired goal or meet a demand. Within the management process, we make decisions concerning its use. It may be allocated for transferring, exchange, producing, protected, saved, investing, or even consuming. So there are certain things which are time consuming. You offer your time for some services. You exchange time for certain things, etc. What is time management? So using time effectively makes the use of your knowledge of the qualitative and quantitative aspects of other resources combined with time. You need to know the different available resources and how we can combine all those resources and make the maximum utilization of all those. So effective time management involves many things. First one, recognize the demands placed upon your time. What all do you want to achieve in your time? So for example, in a day, what all do you want to do? Then ascertain the goals which necessitate the use of your time resources. So you will have certain goals, right? So you will have like long-term goals, short-term goals, some things that you need to be done, that needs to be done in a day, some things that need to be done in a week, some things that need to be done in a month, etc. Identify and set priorities for these demands and goals. So what should be done first? What do you need to achieve first? Should you first study for your exam or watch a movie? So what do you give more priority? So such things are how you prioritize. How are you going to, if you have an exam next week, what are so this week is what all so whatever you do with this week is very critical because it depends on your priorities, how much time you're going to do for your entertainment, how much you're going to spend for your household activities, etc. So determining which resource to combine with your time resource is also very important. Like how is time related to money, how is your time related to energy, etc. Recognizing those demands which cannot be altered or changed. Certain things are there which you schedule, and there are certain other things that others schedule. For example, if your student, if your daughter has a class or a class parents meeting, that is something that the others schedule, and you need to go there. You can't change that. Then there are certain things that you plan. For example, you going for a walk. It is for your own good. You schedule it. So there are things that can be changed, and there are things that cannot be changed. So identify any constraints upon both your time and other resources. What all limitations you have? Like you need to. If there are certain things that you cannot, avoid such things. So developing a plan to allocate and use your time resources, that is very important. So for any effective management, planning is the must. So pattern of time can be classified into two groups: work time and leisure time. So let's see. So work time is defined as all the activities which produce certain measurable results, like employment, household or home related work, or even volunteering work. Like you go for you go to, to a orphanage and, give some, and you do some work for them. So all these things are work time. The other thing is non-work time can be the biggest chunk of our time in the non-work time comes for sleeping. Like we almost spend 1/3 of the day sleeping, right? And if you have a 24 hours in a day, you spend about 8 hours sleeping. Then free time and leisure time. Now, what is the difference between free time and leisure time? Now, free time is something which you don't do anything. Like you don't do any productive things. But leisure time is something like entertainment, like what all you do for your, for your own good. You plan something. For example, you going for a walk, or you go playing badminton, or playing cricket, or all those things are leisure time activities, or you going fun activities to do something. So you are actually doing something, but in the free time you're not doing anything. For example, um, you have kept your rice for cooking, and you're actually waiting in front of the vessel for it to cook. So that's something like free time. You're not doing anything at that time. That's a free time. Also something called time norms. So time norms is the average time spent on certain tasks. Like certain, you can't actually establish time norms because for every person it will be different, right? So some people might take longer to do the same task. Some people might take lesser time to achieve the same task. It depends on your expertise, how much, it depends on your age, your health. So many factors are there. Now there is a study by Batra and Sita Raman. They have calculated the different time norms for various activities. Like for homemaking activities, a full-time homemaker, they spend maximum time. That is about 6.5 hours on homemaking activities. So that is like the maximum amount of time they take for homemaking activities. Now the business class, they spend only 3.92 or approximately 4 hours in homemaking. So homemaking involves all those, cooking, cleaning, all those activities. And the least amount of time was spent by the service class. That is only 3 hours in a day. Now, service class means the working class. They will not be having a lot of things to cook. They don't have such elaborate houses to take care of. So they don't have much of activities in the home. Now, the next is the employment related activities. All those what you do with, employment related activities is, of course, your work related activities. So from the service class, actually spend maximum amount of time. That is about 6 hours plus on the activity. That is followed by the business class and then the professional class. The least amount of time, of course, was by the homemakers or academicians, etc. So it depends on the type of activity or employment you're dealing with, etc. So for each of these, there are certain the norms were specified by these people. I'm not going to mention all of them. There are, like, I have given it in the notes in detail. You can just go through it if you want to. Now let's see the tools of time management. How are you going to manage time? So there are various tools involved in the management of work time. The first thing is peak loads, work curves, rest periods, and work simplification. So let's go to each of them. The first one is peak load. Now peak load, just like the name suggests, peak load. So there are certain times, maybe of day, certain times of the month, certain times of the week, where all you don't have to do a lot of work. Like, for example, on a daily basis, a homemaker with school children, okay, they have this peak load in the morning, right? They have to prepare breakfast, they have to prepare lunch, they have to, send their family off, their all those people, to pack their lunch. You have to, make all the breakfast, get the child ready for school, etc. So that is the time of the day, which is the peak load. So by 8 o'clock, it is like maybe she gets up around at 5:36, and then 8:30 her child has to go to school. So within 2 hours she has to accomplish a lot of tasks. So that is a peak load of her of her day. Then there are certain times of the year where there is like a lot of peak load activity. Like, for example, in festival season, a lot of guests are coming up. You have to make a lot of sweets, a lot of foods, a lot of cleaning to be done, etc. So those are like the peak loads of the month. Then of the year, sometimes there are peak loads of the year. I mean, the monthly basis, weekly basis, etc. For example, if you're going to do like weekends, all your, if you want to have all your laundry will be done in the weekends, or if you have some plans like that, all your cleaning will be done on the weekends, etc. So there will be a particular time, shopping, such things can be done in the weekend. So so you should know when are your peak loads, where is the time, or when do you spend maximum energy. That is what is meant by peak load. Next one is work curve. Next we'll just analyze, like, how does your work curve look like. Mostly it starts early in the morning sluggishly, like you're going to start like There is like it starts sluggishly, slowly, and then there is a sharp rise as the worker is getting into the stride. So early morning, you get up from bed, you brush your teeth, isn't it? There will be some sort of an inertia, like you will have some time, getting used to the fact that you are awake. And then as soon as you are out and about, you are going, when you start your work, then naturally there is, you get the momentum is on, and then you reach your maximum potential, and then it starts falling off as the time goes by. You have almost finished all your work, and the peak, the work curve starts falling, uh, starts falling. The next is rest period. So when is your rest period? You need to know what time you want to rest, how long you need to rest. So the greatest results, can be expected if the worker lies down and relaxes completely. It is very good, because after you have done some strenuous work, it's very essential that the body gets a very proper good night's sleep or a good rest as such. And if you lie down also, it's really good. So, there is, for a homemaker, there are more chances for more rest. So there are the type of works, etc. The type of rest, amount of rest you get is also very important. Next one is work simplification. Now, how do you do work simplification? So this is something related to energy management. You should be dealing it in detail about how to use your hands, body, emotions, etc. So how to do the easiest, simplest tasks, etc. So that, not just time is saved, also energy can also be saved. So we'll be discussing that in the portion of energy management. Now let's come to time plan. So just like I mentioned earlier, for every management, planning is a must. So management of time involves both making plans and, of course, carrying them out. Making plan is very easy, right? You were telling that, 5 hours of the day I'm going to study, and then if you are not going to carry them out, it's of no use. So plan shows what one expects to do in a given period of time, just morning, afternoon, etc. So you can do like daily plans, weekly plans, monthly plans, etc. Now, most homemakers also, they will follow some sort of plans, like what all needs to be done, till what time, when should my breakfast be ready, when should my dinner be ready, how long should I take for cleaning the house, etc. So all these things are there. So let's see type of schedules. It can be like daily schedule, can be there, weekly schedule, seasonal schedule, etc. So a daily schedule for a work from home mother can go like, getting out of bed at 6:45, drinking glass of water, then quick house clean, then, making coffee, breakfast, workout, getting for, breakfast, etc. So such things can come. So what are the steps in making daily and weekly time plans? So let's see. So first step is listing all the activities you're going to do. So everything that you're going to do, just write it down. What all you want to do? Caring for children, planning, preparing, serving meals, packing lunch, baking, preparing baby food if there is a baby, washing dishes, doing any other unexpected task. So you should always keep it flexible, so that, it should not be very precise to the second, because all your time is going, because naturally, especially mothers of babies, naturally you can't have a very rigid plans, because naturally your baby can start screaming out of nowhere, and you will have to go there and take care of him. So it should not be too rigid. So it should have time and space for doing unexpected tasks, caring for house, caring for pets, personal care, recreation, doing any gardening related activities. So all these things should be involved. So you need to write down all of these. There are weekly tasks, then like daily tasks are there, weekly tasks are there. Now daily tasks are all these things that we have mentioned. Now there are weekly tasks are there, like shopping, washing windows, going to going to meetings, etc. Then preparing special meals, then if there is any repair in the house, then special cleaning, if you have to wash and iron, etc. Some people, what they do is, the best thing to do is, like, instead of ironing every day, keep all the dresses together, and for a week you can iron it in bulk, so that that a lot of energy is also saved like that, because naturally when you are heating the iron box, it gets heated up, and so with that heat, and with that heat you can make maximum utilization of it. and then keep all the for the week you can iron the dresses and keep. So such things can be done. So there are weekly tasks, etc. So listing out all the activities is the first step. Next step is making a plan for routine tasks. Some things that you can't go without. For example, you have to make meals. You have to do personal care, breathing, brushing, etc. comes every day. So this is the skeleton. So some things that which you can't avoid are your routine tasks. Now make a plan with the routine tasks. That will form your skeleton. Duties such as preparing and serving meals, packing lunch, taking children to school, all those things are the step 2. That is all your routine tasks. Number 3 is weekly plans. So at this point, we must fit the weekly, special, seasonal jobs, etc. into the free blocks of time in the daily plan. So there are certain things that you need to do in a week, like washing your windows, or cleaning, thorough cleaning of your house, etc. Then ironing clothes, laundry. So such things can be done wherever you get free slots in your daily schedule. So you need to consider the needs of her own household, the work habits, free times of members of the family as well. Step 4, deciding who will do all these tasks. Now there can be, if it is a family, naturally you can involve other people also. If it is the man and the woman, the husband and the wife can share these duties. They can assign the children to do some of the tasks, etc. So all the, there are so each of the duties can be shared, so that there will be equal distribution of chores, etc., so that it's easier and people get more free time. Step 4 is usually combined with steps 2 and 3, because many of these decisions are made when the order and time of working are already determined. So these are how you can actually do time management. Time management is all about how you get things done and how you plan it well. Now let's discuss about energy management. So energy is a basic requirement for every person for maintenance of life, growth, and physical output, right? Time can be planned and monitored according to the activity. But it is not very easy to plan and monitor energy requirement because you can't actually measure it, right? Now, unlike time, there is no 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock for your energy. Energy is measured in calories, and we don't have those sophisticated machinery to completely, nowadays you have these activity trackers and all that. But usually it's not very convenient that you completely track all the activities you can do. All the energy intake or output cannot be completely measured. So energy is obtained through dynamic biochemical reactions in the body. And usually energy, it is utilized for promoting all the basal metabolic processes. Basal metabolic processes are those processes that occur in the body without our knowledge, like breathing, respiration, digestion. It's all involuntary activities. Beating of the heart, you don't really know what is that it is going on. That promoting growth, of course you are growing and you don't know. So for energy is required for promoting growth. Regulation of body temperature. You know that your body temperature is maintained at 37 degrees Celsius. So to regulate it, some energy is required. Performance of various physical activities. So all your physical activities, you're walking, running, doing all the job requires energy. So energy is required for every activity. So what are the energy costs of various household and occupational activities? So combination of several types of efforts like manual effort, mental effort, visual effort, torsal effort, pedal efforts are needed to perform any activity. You use a lot of your senses, your muscles, your vision, your muscles of your legs, or your torso, your legs, etc. So the energy cost changes according to the combination of the type of effort used for each activity. So in order to have a well-balanced energy expenditure pattern, you need to know the energy cost of various activities. Certain tasks, so you can cover it like, when you have listed down, when you're making time plans, when you have listed down all the activities that need to be taken, you can actually categorize them into, light, moderate, and heavy activities. So light activities are those which require less amount of energy compared to moderate, and moderate require lesser amount of energy compared to heavy activities. So there are all those range of activities that need to be done. Moderate or heavy work requires walking and standing, as well as, different forms of manual effort. So checking the energy cost is very effective in making, you can alternate a heavy and light tasks. Like after you have done a heavy task, you can immediately after that, you can either rest, or then you can, do something light, so that you don't, overstrain yourself by doing all the heavy tasks together. So there are, for homemakers, etc., there are like many tiring tasks, like things which make them extremely tired. So, cleaning and caring for the house, washing, ironing, as this are most of the homemakers, they feel that those are the most disliked or most tiring tasks of all. And let's see which are the different, light, moderate, and heavy tasks. So calories per minute is around, 1.4 to 2 calories, 2 kilocalories per minute. You see, knitting, crocheting, darning, things to do with your, textile related, which we were doing it sitting down. Okay, all those activities which you do sitting down are considered as light. Then preparing meals are also not very heavy or moderate. Dusting the floors, sweeping the kitchen floor, etc., are seen as light activities. Now, moderate activities is using a vacuum cleaner, carpet sweeper, polishing the furniture, kneading the dough, requires more energy than simply doing any cutting, etc. Then wringing clothes, then hanging the clothes from the bucket, cleaning the table, ironing, etc., is a moderate. All are moderate activities. Heavy activities can be scrubbing, mopping, waxing the floor, taking out and hanging the laundry, washing the kitchen floor, making beds, lifting heavy buckets of clothes, lifting young children. All those are activities which are considered as heavy, which have 3.5 to 4.5 kilocalories per minute is burned. All of these activities. Now these are the examples of very everyday activities. Okay, we're not considering any other occupational activities or exercise related activities, just the normal homemaking activities. Now, very important, work simplification. Now we have discussed about energy management, time management. Now we need to do work simplification. That is the seeking of simplest, easiest, and quickest method of doing something. So primary purpose of work simplification is to develop techniques that will reduce allocation and minimize the use of all the resources, not just any resource, time, energy, money, everything should be less. The goal is to produce the highest degree of satisfaction with least expenditure of resources and the most desirable outcome. So the initial application of principles of the work simplification of the household was done by, remember these names, Lillian Gilbert, who worked closely with her husband, Frank. So she and Christine Frederick, continued this work. That is, they were called as the forerunners of work simplification for the homemaker. Gilbert, Frank, their husband, and then Christine Frederick. So Lillian and Christine were considered as the forerunners of work simplification for the home. So the primary purpose of work simplification is to develop techniques that will reduce the use of resources. So time and energy, as we know, are closely related, and if they are blended properly, things will be very easy. So there are two things that need to be considered. One is motion mindedness and work simplification techniques. So let's see what motion mindedness is about. So Gilbert and Lillian Gilbert, so they've told about the husband and wife, right? So they have developed certain principles of motion economy or motion mindedness. So there are 17 basic work motion called curb links identified and recorded by Gilbert. The third links actually consist of 18 different types of motion used in the study of motion economy. In the workplace, for example, like, selecting, that is one third link. Grasping is another. Position, assembling, usage, planning, delay, then, inspecting. So there are different types of third links. Okay. These are the different work motions. When you are, doing a particular type of task, it is called as third link. Okay. So efficiency of a worker can be improved if these principles are applied. That is the principles of motion mindedness. The worker who is motion minded is aware about needed motions and plans her work accordingly. She works in such a way that her body is resting while both her hands work rhythmically from right to left. So it's example, when you're doing a particular task, your aim is to minimize the number of motions. Like plan in advance so that you do only what is needed. Don't go to one particular place again and again to do the same task, or you don't keep forgetting things. For example, you have taken out certain things from the refrigerator. Okay, you have taken bread. Okay, and you're going to make bread and butter, and you have taken bread. Bread was kept in the fridge refrigerator, imagine, and then you have kept it outside. And then after certain time, you realize that, oh, I haven't taken the butter from the fridge. Again, you go to the refrigerator, take the butter. Now a motion minded person would not do this. As soon as he comes to the refrigerator, he thinks what all need to be taken. There is bread, butter, if any other thing is required, all those things will be taken at once. So this is about motion mindedness, how to avoid unnecessary movements. So the important principles of motion economy are how, when you're using your hands, when you use both your hands in the same manner, in unison. For example, when you're, wiping the floor, if you're supposed you're wiping the floor, when you use both your hands in the same manner, the amount of energy spent is lesser. Then arranging the workplace in such a way that back and forth walking is reduced. Each in the job is done in 3 parts, like get ready, start, finish. So plan ahead of time so that total distance walked during the job is far lesser. Then use smaller movement of the hands than large hand movements. So wherever possible, move small movements of the, like for example, when you are wiping certain things, or mopping the floor, etc. Motion against gravity are always slower than those towards gravity. For example, cutting on vegetables on the board, it is easier than cutting it in air. Then using proper posture, that is also very important. Well, we had studied about ergonomics, we had mentioned about body mechanics and posture, the importance of posture, etc. Right? So using proper posture is very important. Now let's see the very important classes of changes, which are the basics of work simplification. So the famous management specialist Gilbert opined that instead of using different methods of studying the work process, one has to answer a basic question. That is, what is the task to be done? When should it be done? By when it should be done? That is, when it should be over, and how it should be done. So some answers to all the Gilbert questions can be systematically developed through the concept of classes of change. So it was in 1940s that Marvin Mundell of the Purdue University who classified all examples of work simplification into 5 classes of change. So this is very important to study the 5 classes of changes by Marvin Mundell. First one, change in hand and body motion. In doing any activity, we use many motions, right? Focusing attention on how and which motion of the body can be eliminated is very essential. So how, just like example of, like for example, like you're going to set the table for your dinner. You have to bring all the curries and rice and everything from the kitchen to your dining room. So you're going to go like 13 times for all of the curries, or you're going to just use a tray and do it in 2 or 3 motions. So instead of just by just using a tray itself, you can eliminate lot of unnecessary motions. Then how to use certain things for certain positions, hand and body motions. You can see that the picture over here, how to hold, when you apply ergonomics to your task, it will be very easy. Just imagine, just look at how the person is in just handling the mop itself. Just see how the way the wrist is held here, and how it is easy here. So here there is a straight line here, and here there is a bend. Now when you're doing this bend over here, when you have this position, what happens is there is more strain on your wrists compared to when you're holding it in this manner over here, as you see in this picture. So here, this is more easier, or it feels less strenuous. So all this, different, for many might sound very silly, but these can actually improve your work efficiency to a great extent. You feel less fatigued, less tired at the end of the day. Class 2, change in equipment and work arrangement. Change in equipment can be sometimes expensive, but like you can certain very small cheap machines can be used for your task. For example, using a peeler instead of knife to peel your vegetables, it's so far easier. It's not very expensive also. Then you can use a rotary egg beater compared to a for beating eggs instead of spoon or fork. Using certain like grinders or a pressure cooker for cooking saves a lot of time. So change in equipment and work arrangement can give you better results as in work simplification. Number 3, change in production sequence. How do you do certain things? What is the sequence of activities that is done? Like how do you do, what is a, there are many activities to be done in a short time. So you need to combine certain tasks. It is also called as dovetailing. For example, when you have put your, for your rice for cooking, okay, it will take maybe just say it will take around 20 minutes for your rice to get cooked. So, if you're going to sit there idle and wait for your rice to cook, a lot of things, other things can be done, right? You can, when the rice is being cooked, you can cut the vegetables for your curry. You can, make other things. You can prepare your children's breakfast or children for school. So many things can be done. So that is what is like, how do you do the sequence? What type of activities do you do and what time? Finding the best order of work. So the very simple method is like sweeping the floor before mopping. Now that is the very thing that sequence is there, right? Instead of mopping first and then sweeping, naturally first you have to dust off all the the dirt, and then when you mop it, naturally it will be far easier. So you can eliminate unnecessary steps, combine or change the sequence of work so that it is easier. Then next class of change is change in the finished product. Now, sometimes what happens is, sometimes, some of the standards or expectations of the finished product can be different. For example, if you want to finish if you have, you have got an unexpected call and you are asked to, come out really fast. So you were planning to make some nice masala dosa, something like that. And instead of that, what you can do is quickly change the recipe. You can make simple dosas, or at one time, or you can even make idli with that dosa batter if you want to, or if there is like a cake, when you sorry, icing on the cake, you really want to make a cake with icing, or just serve the cake as such. So finishing the finished product, if you want to change it, that can save a lot of time and energy. Fancy decoration is there or not, how you're going to prepare the food. Is it okay if you make wheat dosha instead of chapati, which is very easy. Wheat dosa is very easy compared to chapati. So it depends on, so you can change this final product. Next is change in raw material. So when you're making certain things, you can change the raw material. For example, instead of going to cut all the vegetables, you can just make buy cut vegetables if you want. Then use different raw materials. Masala powders are available. You can just sambar powder. Ready mixes are available for all. So many things. For instead of idli, making um, the dough or anything like that, instead of that you can make pre-prepared mixes, etc. So raw material can be changed for work simplification. So these are the different ways in which you can change your work. Now the next very important topic is fatigue. Now with energy, naturally you feel fatigue. What is fatigue? Fatigue means tiredness from physical work or lower capacity to perform subsequent work. So on the basis of anatomy of the body, if after work your body's capacity to do the work reduces, or the body is unable to do the work as before, it is called as fatigue. So inability to do the work due to overwork. So Hackard and Greenberg has defined it as incapacity for exertion induced by previous exertion. So you are feeling tired because you have done certain things. If you have got up early in the morning and you're feeling tired, that is not fatigue. Fatigue is something like after you have performed something, like some task, you feel tired. There are two types of fatigue. First is physiological fatigue and psychological fatigue. So physiological is like all your, your muscles are aching, you're feeling very tired, physically you're weak. Psychological is you feel bored, you feel mentally, you don't feel like doing anything. It could be two types. One is boredom and frustration. Now, boredom is all about you feel bored, like you have been doing the same thing over and over again. You feel very bored. Frustration is when you want to do something, you're doing some experiment in your laboratory, you're not getting the results. Time and again you have done the same thing and you are still not getting the result. That leads to frustration. It's like two different things. Boredom is like you're tired of doing the same thing, like you've been reading the same article many times, you feel very bored. Or you're watching a movie and you don't feel interested. That's boredom. Frustration is when you want to achieve something and you're not getting it, like you're not able to do that. That is called as frustration. Or if you're working lots and you're not getting paid for it, or like for example in a company you've been working so long and you're being underpaid, so those leads to frustration. Such things are psychological stress. So after being bored or frustrated, you don't feel like working anymore. That is what is psychological fatigue. So what are the causes of fatigue? So long period of mental or light physical work in a restricted or uncomfortable position. So if you've been reading a long time, when you have been lying down with your head tilted or something, your neck is paining or your legs are paining, so it feels very hard, right? That is one of the reasons. Then long period of work in standing position. If you have been doing something, standing a long time, then also there is a chance of fatigue. Long period of making continuous postural adjustment, like when you're riding a car, you're changing different positions, etc. That also makes you fatigue. Then physical exertion, like you had to lift heavy weights, etc. Then working something which you don't like, that is working at a disliked task. You don't like this curry, but you are forced to make it. You feel bad about it. You don't like to do it. Then working at an unaccustomed task, you are doing it for the first time. You feel very tired. Then working at a task that requires close attention or extreme alertness, you're made to closely monitor something. Then working under pressure, like when you're meeting a deadline, you're supposed to submit the assignment within 2 days. You feel fatigue because there is a lot of pressure involved. Then working without sufficient knowledge or information, when you have to prepare notes on a subject which you have no idea about, and you have to keep doing it, naturally you feel tired. Emotional stress, whether working or not. So emotional stress is also very bad because you have already fought with somebody you like, and then a lot of stress is there. Psychologically you're weak, and then when you're supposed to do the task, naturally it will be very hard for you. So these are the different causes of fatigue. Now what are the different methods you can use to relieve fatigue? First one is rest period. So when you have exerted yourself, keep some time off. Take a time off, take a rest. Change of task you can do after doing one particular task for a long time. Shift it, do something else, putting interest into the job. So whenever you're doing something, if you're studying something, make sure you're interested in doing it. An analytical approach to a job. So you just think about why you're actually doing this. This getting this job done can help you with these things. Like for example, you're studying for your net exam. You think about the fact that after you have qualified the net exam, you can get a job. You can be a researcher, you can do your PhD with a stipend, you can be an assistant professor, you can do your academic job. So keep the end goals in mind. Having proper workplace and proper equipment, you have a very beautiful, keep your environment very clean and healthy so that you don't feel bored or messed up. Appreciation of the work. So when you do something, you'll be happy that you're doing it. Then give incentive to the worker. When you are, especially if you are the employer, make sure that your employees are treated well so that, they feel like doing the job. Otherwise, if they are not being paid well or if they are not being, appreciated enough, they'll feel like they are all their work is being wasted. So all those things should be kept in mind so that fatigue is relieved. These are the different methods of relieving fatigue. So hope it's clear to you. Energy and time management.